All right, we are on. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Weekly Dose with Dr. Ude. I have a treat for you. I have Dr. Simi with me today, and we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. It's going to be giving us a lot of tips and tricks if you're a caregiver taking care of a child or have someone that's dependent on you with chronic medical condition. And what she's going to be doing is giving us some information on how to navigate healthcare in those situations. So before we get started, I'll start with introductions. So for those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Ude. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I am based in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I co-own a primary care practice, namely Apple Valley Family Medicine. I also provide aesthetic services, and with both modalities, my goal is to have my patients not only feeling good, but looking good. So Dr. Simi, I'm going to actually have you introduce yourself because I know I'm not going to do it justice. So please let us know about you and then we can get started. Welcome.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm always so excited to touch on a platform that's near and dear to my heart. My name is Dr. Simarta Brennan Prescod. I'm an internal medicine boarded certified internal medicine, nephrology, and also hypertensive specialist. My passions are educating. Presently, I run a coaching service for practitioners or business people who want to level up their practice. My background is not only as a physician, but as a patient advocate. And also I have a son with congenital heart disease, which I've had to learn to navigate the healthcare system. I feel strongly about people being educated in how to navigate this system we call healthcare and basically how to advocate for your loved ones.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. So I'm actually going to get right into it. So as a parent with a child with a chronic medical condition, and you said it was a congenital heart condition, when you began your journey with your little one, what would you say were the obstacles, challenges from your perspective, since you've been navigating it, especially through the healthcare system?
Well, I always say every two stories are not the same, but we can always learn from someone else's story. My story began at a 20-week ultrasound. So I have a son, he's presently 7 years old, but on our 20-week ultrasound, we found out he had heart disease. Needless to say, very unexpected, and not really knowing what that meant, what that long-term implications. So there's always that, okay, I never want anybody to join this club, but now we're here. So now we know we have to learn how to cope and bring our child or anyone really, any loved one to their highest potential. So it's difficult. I tell people navigating the healthcare system was difficult for me. And I work in the healthcare system. But I believe it's possible. And we have to because it's our loved one, whether it's your grandma, grandpa, your uncle, your brother, or your child. There's some basic fundamentals we're going to all have to deal with to be successful at it. And that's what I want to share. Now, in my situation specifically, at birth, it started. So for my situation and any parent of a child, we call them heart warriors. This is a very small percentage of the population, and now your challenge is finding resources. So the first step I always tell people is we have to go for grief. The truth is we grieve ourselves, we grieve the person in front of us that we want to make better. So we have to first get over the first hurdle of denial. I feel like it's super important to recognize when we're a loved one and caring, we do grieve. Grief is not just about death, but it's about creative change and it's difficulties with change. So first we have to get out the denial because getting out the denial gets focal point of seeking information. And that's what you want to do. You want to find out who is going to help you process what you're going through, what resources are available. And when I break down resources, I don't just look at resources online. I'm talking the resources of your doctors that are trained in this, your resources of other parents who've been through this, the resources of your family who can support you in different ways. So these are the first 1 and 2 steps I call in any time you're a caregiver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you kind of touched on, because the next thing I was going to ask was tips to help people navigate. So for you, you said the grieving process, denial, and then getting help. Is there anything else you would want to add to that?
Absolutely. So a big part of it, now that we're gained information, we have to realize when we're a caregiver, this is for the long ride. So you have to give yourself, the third is grace. You have to recognize that your circle is an onion. I know, it sounds crazy. But you need to know in each layer what your resources is and how can you lean into them. Everybody is not going to be the same for you. It's really important you realize that one person may be able to drop a meal by, great. Another person might be able to watch your loved one for about half an hour to an hour. That just might be what you need. But we have to kind of learn the resources around us. The fourth thing I always tell my family is you need support groups. And you may need different types of support groups, but I am a huge advocate for it's one thing to get medical help for disease, but it's another thing to learn how to thrive. I remember, like, I'll give you an example with my son. I didn't know it's better to have button-down PJs. Telemonitors, wires could go through. As simple as a button-down PJ that made my life so relief.
Wow.
But another parent can tell you that. And it's just like when we deal with the elderly. You need to know what resources are out there so that you can figure out with your loved one what's going to work for you. The fifth thing I always tell people is communicate. Communicate. You have to talk to your providers, talk to your family member. I've always been open and honest with my son about what's been going on with him. There are books, resources that we go through for age appropriateness of information. And that's what's going to help both you and them connect. Super important. And my sixth tip and trick when it comes to caregiver support is stop being perfect. You want to realize there is no perfection. There, you are going to fumble. I have a load of dishes in the sink today. That's okay. It really is about leaning into what you can and cannot do. Nothing's going to be perfect because this is for the long haul. This is truly an importance of self-care for the caregiver. Reducing that, oh, I didn't get that done. But more, hey, my cup is half full. And everybody made it to the next day.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So I'm pretty sure there's definitely somebody out there that this is helping. So thank you so much. Now, the other question, you've touched on some of the questions I usually ask. The one that I want to ask, which is kind of separate. So if you got a chance to meet your 20-year-old self, with all the life you've lived, all the experiences that you've had, what would you advise her or what would you tell her?
That's funny. I always say, if my 40 plus self, I'm not going to give it away, Dr. Ude, you're not going to get me. You're not going to get me.
Almost there.
My 14-year-old self. Got me.
I love it.
The truth is, I would tell her, relax.
Mm.
Lean into assistance. We are humans, and just like the birds, they know genetically what they need to do to fly together. It's just like humans. We are all programmed to need each other.
Absolutely.
When we try to do things on our own, that's when it falls apart.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. So, for those listening that would like to get a hold of you, look you up, and I do believe you have a book out. So, if you want to
I do.
tell us all of that, we would appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm a believer in sharing, and recently I wrote a book, and it's called The Parts We Don't Talk About. My journey through being a physician, being a patient with chronic disease, such as multiple sclerosis, myself, and also being a caregiver to a child in the healthcare system. My goals is to give tips and tricks to others so that maybe they don't have to go through something I had to go through, or maybe they can do better. Um, my book's available at drsimarta.com. That's www.drsimarta. And we can always put that in the comments. And the other thing, I'm available on Instagram. Follow me, share, and we're going to make this world better one speech at a time. I My book is available on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Nobles. You can get it at local fairs. Really, it's a testimony that I think a lot of people could do. I just put it in a book, and the idea is to create more stories so that we can create more change.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. So we'll try to get that information, your social media handle and the information for your book so we can include it with the release of this. Thank you so much. And for those of you out there, if you're looking for a quality primary care doctor, look us up at Apple Valley Family Medicine. We're accepting new patients. Our website is www.applevalleyfamilymed.com. And our phone number here is 304-350-1087. So you guys take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you same time next week. Bye.